Hey guys, I'm back at it again. It's Daniel the Norwegian guy. Yeah, sorry for not uploading anything sooner because I've been kind of busy. Been to a music festival. I'm working on something regarding that. I'll be talking about it in a future video. But for now, I just got home. Excuse me. Uh, from watching the recent Elvis biopic starring Austin Butler and Tom Hanks as Elvis Presley and Colonel Tom Parker, respectively, and it's directed by Baz Luhrmann. Now, before I really get into this, things that I liked about the movie, things that I didn't like, I want to talk about Baz Luhrmann's filmography and Elvis's music first. So, when it comes to Elvis's music, I am mostly into kind of like his greatest hits. That's really the best way to put it. I like his greatest hits. I think there can be a lot of fun. I enjoy a lot of them. Obviously, Elvis's vocal performance or Elvis's vocals in general are legendary and iconic for a reason. But that's really the extent of his music. Now, I have read a couple of books and I've seen a couple of documentaries about his life, so I kind of have a general knowledge of his life. So I definitely know these things, and there are things that I really want to pick apart about the biopic. But before I really get into it, I'll also need to talk about Baz Luhrmann's filmography because, in case you don't know, Baz Luhrmann has made movies like The Great Gatsby, the more modern set version of Romeo and Juliet, as well as Moulin Rouge and a few others. And I'm not necessarily the biggest fan. For me, he kind of epitomizes the idea of style over substance. Uh, but having said that, this movie, and yes, this movie is definitely really stylized, but given the fact that Elvis had kind of this very lavish and excessive lifestyle, honestly, kind of worked for me at least. I think that, yeah, this movie definitely has a very uh, by the num by the numbers biopic feel to it and storytelling, but the thing that really drives it for me is Austin Butler's performance as Elvis. It's very much for me kind of like the Elvin, the Chaplin biopic starring Robert Downey Jr. from the 90s. That it's very by the numbers, but you really get invested in the performance of the lead that you honestly are kind of along for the ride, kind of kind of along with it, going along with it, I should say. So I really did enjoy that aspect of it. The soundtrack certainly is great. I think that the movie has a really great look. It has great setting. Uh, as far as having a 3 hour runtime, I am not exact. I'm actually kind of sort of conflicted about that because it's both too short and too long, both at the same time. Like I feel like this could easily have been a miniseries, where you spend one episode focusing on his rise to fame, one where he's dealing with fame, one about his military service, one of his movie career, one of his comeback, one during his lavish time in Vegas, and one about his kind of, I guess you could say, decline. That to me would almost have been better, but at the same time, if you're gonna do a movie version of his story, I think this is probably as close as you can get it. Uh, but I will say that around the 2 hour mark, I was started to kind of look at my watch and be like, okay, I kind of want to wrap this up. Um, as mentioned, I think every single performance in this movie is solid. That is with the one lone exception being Tom Hanks. Sorry, I'm not feeling this. For me, his performance as Colonel Parker for me stuck out like a sore thumb, and I did not buy it at all, unfortunately. So And there's one aspect, and this is kind of a mild spoiler, so sorry if you haven't seen it. I just had to bring this up a little bit. So there is a point in this film where during Elvis's time, they do spend one scene focusing on Elvis's time in the service and his military service, I should say. And it's of course the moment when there is a moment there where he's hanging out with Priscilla. And if you know the story of Elvis, you will know the fact that Elvis at the time was 24 when he met Priscilla, and Priscilla at the time was 14. And I do sadly do have to kind of spoil this a little bit. They share one kiss on screen, and knowing the fact that Priscilla at the time, at least as far as the film context is concerned, they do not give her a specific age, but she was 14, and knowing that, it kind of creeped me out. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable scenes I think I've ever seen. Um, and knowing that, yeah, it definitely will give you a massive. I don't even know what the word is, but you feel like you're witnessing something you're not supposed to, and that is kind of the only thing I will say about it. Now, as far as a biopic is concerned, I mean, it's not the worst. I enjoy aspects of it. I enjoy certainly the main performance of Mr. Butler in the role. I mean, it's a very tall order for anyone. And of course, the soundtrack is great. The movie looks great, and I think most people would have a good time with it. I personally would give it a 3 out of 5. Not necessarily one that I'm overly enthusiastic at giving it, even though many people give it such high praise. But honestly, the one only good thing about it, I would say, is Mr. Butler's performance. And the other thing is, the one thing that I will say is that it definitely, uh, and then one thing that really came across for me, at least when you read books and watch documentaries, is how much Elvis cared for his mom, Gladys. And that for me is really well converted in the few scenes that you see Elvis and Gladys together. So I'll definitely give it that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is not one of the top echelon as far as biopics concerned. It's not one of the best movies I've seen as far as 2022 is concerned. So yeah, but I will definitely say that you will have a good time with it. And with that said, I'm gonna head out. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and because you know what, we need to get more people into this channel, because you know what, the more the merrier.